So, I work at a decently large company. When I first arrived here, I had never even heard of the product we were working on. Yet it's used by so many people. It made me think about how there are so many moving parts in our current society that we just take for granted. Our jobs usually feel as if they're not special. However, lives have been changed by whatever job you do. This applies even if it's an inherently evil job, I guess. However, in order for society to work, there are rules that need to be followed. Otherwise, it would all collapse into chaos, and society would be reduced to nothing but the survival of the strongest. It's like the butterfly effect. Every single action we take moves us to a different outcome. Say you work interacting with customers. If I'm in a bad mood and I interact with a person that was already having a bad day, that energy is transmitted. I might react aggressively to the smallest, stupidest thing that person says, and that sours the entire interaction. So we get to decide what type of energy we spread to people. I'm not saying it's simple, because sometimes we cannot contain the stress or whatever is affecting us, which is why I personally try to uplift the people around me and keep a smile on my face when I'm talking to them. This is not always easy. Sometimes it's hard to stay positive. But if I'm tense, then people feel my discomfort. They haven't done anything to deserve that. I'm not saying this is how every scenario should be handled, but at least it can provide a better environment for our loved ones. Our day-to-day would be so much more filled with joy if we did our best to lead with positivity. I was talking about Stoicism with a friend a few days ago, and it's such an interesting concept. What I've heard mentioned about Stoicism is that we are the ones who decide what we let affect us. Based on that, we are the ones who decide how we want to be affected by other people. I can let an angry person make me angry too, but there is not really a reward to being angry. It's not very fun. I personally used to hate being wrong. Whenever someone told me something that didn't align with what I thought I knew, I would check out or try to change the subject. However, I've been trying to make sure I hear everyone's opinion before I form my own. I also make a note of the fact that people can have different opinions. I just allow them to keep theirs, since arguing won't make them change their mind anyway. It would only affect my mood to try to change them. I can better spend that energy not letting it affect me and going on about my day. Okay, back to the title of the video, shadow work. It's such an interesting word. It just sounds cool. All these fictional characters with shadow in their title are usually very cool. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes of almost everything we consume. While making this video, I noticed this takes so long to record. Usually, making all these farms, it's usually a huge grind. However, in this case, it's something rewarding since I like playing the game and editing the videos. However, it does take a long time to define what farms I want to make and what architecture I want to create as well. But how about when the work is not so entertaining?